First of all, I always say that in Bhagwad Gita, it's very important that let's take Krishna out of the game in terms of him being a god. Because what happens is when we consider Krishna as God, you don't ask questions. किताब में ऐसे लिखा वही लिख के आना है. So you don't ask questions because if you ask questions, you are maybe termed as Nastik in that way, right? So Arjun asked a lot of questions, and that was the perspective. When you say कर्म कर फल की चिंता मत कर, he said, okay Baba, but outside boss चिंता कैसे नहीं करेंगे? We'll have to do chinta. So there's the immediate disconnect which comes in Gita. So the idea is that we see where Bhagavad Gita makes sense to us instead of just talking about it, right? And from the religious perspective. So there is no religion in Bhagavad Gita here. It's just the perspective, just what we can take from it in the workplace context, right? Okay. So we'll go ahead, we'll start. And what one thing Akshay mentioned was combining age-old wisdom with business common sense. This is what I try to do, and this is the whole objective here. Even in my trainings and also in Bhagavad Gita perspective, it's just that, you know, whether it is Bhagavad Gita or any other book of any religion, the context is just the simplicity to be brought in life. Something that is being missed today, although we'll talk about that. So the perspective is this only, that how we can bring in the common sense generally and in business from whatever we can learn in spirituality. Certain areas are there which we want to talk about. The picture itself is talking about stress, and so we'll talk about stress only. So WHO says that negativity at the mental and behavioral level leading to psychological problems amongst employees is one of the largest and common global occupation health issue. So that's what WHO has to say. Couple of things which are here, in fact most of things which are there outright. So I'm doing my PhD on the topic impact of meditation on emotional intelligence. So much of the research that I've taken, some of these things are added here. So there are research papers to back my statements here, right? So rising ambitions among the current workforce. Now, is ambitions wrong? No, ambitions are not wrong. How managed are they? How good are they? How much are you in control? Or these ambitions, you know, are somewhere taking a toll on your ethics or also the peace of mind and a normal sleep in the night. You know, so those are things which we're talking about. So rising ambitions, and certainly there will be some focus of my talk on the Gen Z, the way people are changing, the way the thought process is changing, the whole fabric is now reweaved in a different way. So that's what we'll talk about. Third is emotional labor. Now, emotional labor is something which is a psychological term. So when a customer enters and shouts at me, so I'm maybe a teller or a personal banker or whatever. So this guy is shouting at me. I still have to smile. Yes, sir. We will do it, sir. So there are two things happening. One is surface acting. Surface acting is when on the surface I'm trying to act to be nice, right? That obviously is stressful inside me. I'm trying to answer, I would want to answer this guy back, but I shouldn't and I wouldn't. The other is deep acting. Deep acting is where internally I convince myself, भैया यही है अभी चलने दो अभी customer है वो तो चिल्लाएगा ही. You know, I accept it as a norm. I accept it as a process. This is the way it is and let it be. And I have to accept it, and life में यही है, you know, one of those things. So either way, this is a stressor, and particularly in service industry, as research says, emotional labor is quite an issue amongst people, and how to deal with them, how to deal with the whole process, and also the fact that how the employee feels over a period of time, over a few months of working at the floor, if I say that floor, and how he's feeling. Similarly, a boss, the way a boss would talk to a guy, and then the person is reacting in a particular way, thinking of certain things in a particular way, how motivated this guy is, you know, so that is emotional labor. Then we have rising standards in serving customers, keeping employees on toes. Now, causing burnout and stress is not fair. You know, giving your best is what you're supposed to do, what you're paid for. And still, just because customers are becoming aware, and they are asking questions which were not asked 10 years ago or before, and now people are asking questions, people are aware, there is a CCTV all the time on your head. And so therefore, this is probably causing a burnout and stress, which is not fair, but it is somewhere causing that. Then organizations are looking for newer and sustainable ways towards employee wellness. We all know that, so we can go ahead. Social media now and moonlighting, big words today. Social media, I would also include OTT, because today, let's say a person below 35, working guy, is somehow affected by OTT. The boldness they show in OTT movies or the series is not really our culture. It's not really things on the ground. But it's these guys are seeing OTTs and they are seeing that boldness at the workplace, at home, in relationships. So this somehow they want to see that this happened in that OTT. I also behave in the same way at the office. And yes, there are issues. Yesterday I was having a meeting with the general insurance L&D head, one of my old friends. He said, "Yeah, one of my sales managers called this guy hero because he did a good number. Kya hero?" And this guy complained against him here. I mean, hero bola yaar, it's a compliment. He said, "No, call me by my name." This is how these people have become these days. And you have to manage these people. Well, there are a lot of strengths there. Managing these people have become an issue. How do you talk to them? Kandhe pe haath rakhne mein problem hoti hai in logo ko. Male. There also there is a problem. So all of those things, the way these people are coming up and addressing or maybe putting this in front of HR complainings is become so easy for them, because obviously it should be easy, but the way these things are misused also is something a concern for a typical manager, right? Challenge to create a balance between productivity and discipline and retention. So one point you want to have discipline and retention. So one is productivity. You want productivity from an employee. Another is you want to retain this guy. In also the fact that discipline has to be there. So so that's a balance, and we find it difficult to create that balance because people today are somehow freer compared to earlier times, and that is where this problem comes in. And of course in the AI dominated workplaces, right? Then being emotionally imbalanced leads to misinterpretation of situation, causing unwarranted reactions, which is right when you are. So I'll tell you this, we'll talk about these new age workforce in some detail later on as we talk about spiritual leadership. But this one thing is there, that these people might be seemingly bold. At the end of the day, they are human beings and they have their weaknesses. And the weaknesses are particularly on emotions. If you have to manage them, and they are really good, they're really creative. They have a new way of thinking, new way of working, right? But on the same hand, the way probably people like us would want them to work, they may not want to work like that. They say, "Kaam ho jayega sir, main ghar pe baitha hu, yahan baitha hu, kya fark padta hai, I'll do." This is not acceptable for a age-old person, or let's say not a old school person like me. I would want the system protocols to be there. And so these guys are protesting in that way. And they come up, and so there is an issue on that front. And we need to address that, right? EI, emotional intelligence, can help in enhancing the employee's ability to deal with negative situations and of course avoid it at the onset. We need this, because if this is not there, creativity is not there, service orientation is not there, productivity is not there, and if productivity is there, it is also very limited. So then, and a lot of strings attached to that productivity is what we're trying to focus on. Therefore, urgent need for mature leadership skills, motivation, interpersonal harmony on the sides of uncompromisable productivity standards. This is what we want, right? This is what we want. All of us want that. But then there is a difficulty, not only new age people, but this is a difficulty in a lot of areas that has been faced by me when I was working with the banks or now. So this is something which is there, which has been seen, and certainly not only banks, it is there with a lot of other industries also, where which are progressive industries, which are big names in this system, where the HR is strong, HR should be strong. And so, but then the way then we have to deal with the people becomes a little bit of a challenge on that front, is where we are coming from, where this particular workshop will be talking about. Now, the Arjun part. For the first almost 10 minutes, we didn't talk of Bhagwad Gita. Just this concept is there. Again, we'll not talk about Bhagwad Gita for some time. Why? I'll tell you. But this is Arjun. Some kind of glass ceiling. It applies to everybody. Trust me, it's not just ladies. Glass ceiling is there with everybody. This is all in the mind. Yeah, with ladies it is real also to some extent, but with every employee, there's some kind of a cage he or she thinks is stuck in. right? Something that has to move, something that shift has to come in. That boss, sorry, this is not the way. Nobody wants you to be like this. Not even the management wants to be like you to be like this. Not even the boss wants you to be like this. This has to change, and there is where the whole concept is. Because if this guy becomes independent, if this guy becomes free, the productivity will be on a different level. And that's what we're talking about here. That's what Bhagwad Gita is also talking about here, and that's why this particular program, right? So then we have modern day Arjun. The modern day Arjun is confused as the original one about why he has to work. काम क्यों करना है? You know, I mean, generally a person would feel पैसे कमा लो यार कैसे भी करके काम क्यों करना है? You know, that's a general mindset amongst people, irrespective of workforce, till the time they're 35 and less. Generally people will say काम क्यों करना है? ठीक है यार, we enjoy करो life को यार. And today with so many options of enjoyment per se, people want that. People are attracted towards those areas instead of the workspace. So that is one. About his choice of work profile, about his needs in life vis-a-vis the remuneration at work. काम तो बहुत कर रहे हैं, पैसा नहीं मिलता है. That's a big problem everywhere. This is the problem. People are talking. कितना ही मिल रहा है वो कम ही लगता है ना. So those whether that's a need or a greed is a question mark. But ये तो है ही, जितना ही कर लो सब में ही होता है. I don't know if some of us might also agree with ourselves that कितना ही कर लो पैसा कम मिल रहा है. You know, this is an unfortunate part. I know a couple of people in the army, and we keep meeting, and I see that flair in these people to earn money is more than Deshbhakti. And I asked one of my good friends, he's a lieutenant colonel, I asked him, boss, अगर ऐसा mindset है तो मुझे डर लग रहा है यार. अगर तुम लोग ऐसा कर रहे हो तो पैसे के लिए कुछ ही हो जाएगा. He said, नहीं यार, हम कब तक ऐसे यार. I mean, this is a true fact. People are now getting into stock markets. People are now getting into easy money methods somewhere, some extra thing. Especially those who are stationed in a particular city, not the ones at the border. These people are thinking, और पैसा कैसे कमाएं? बंगला कैसे आएगा? ऐसे तो बंगला नहीं आएगा. ऐसे तो बड़ी गाड़ी नहीं आएगी. So that's a concern. That's really a concern. Not that it will be widespread, but couple of my friends, when I talk to them, I'm concerned. I'm concerned as a person that boss, अगर तुम्हारे को टेंशन है, तो मैं यहाँ क्या बोलूँ? If you guys have a concern about earning so much money, what do I tell people otherwise? So that's certainly a concern which is there. So then we have about his work-life balance basically, which is there, and job versus business. Now that's a big one. धंधा करते हैं यार छोड़ो ये सब. That's a big one coming from my days. Business करो यार, job में क्या रखा है? करते कुछ नहीं है, करना वही है job. But that discussion is still happening. छोड़ो यार, business करते हैं. Someday we'll have to start our own business. Someday we will start our own business, and so that see करना होगा ना जिसको वो कर लेगा, वो निकल जाएगा. Might as well निकलो यार. But daily cribbing about this, and I always say the favorite space in the lower part of the management, the lower hierarchy levels is the chai ki tapri. This is the second office, or as I say these days, the second group जिसमें boss नहीं होता है, WhatsApp group. They enjoy more in that, you know. So you have a lot of freedom in that particular group. So then we have about his personal needs and priorities, clarity on the purpose of his life, very important. करना क्या है जीवन में, कर क्या रहा हूँ मैं. That's one concern. इससे आपको काम कराना है. इस अर्जुन से आपको productivity चाहिए. इस अर्जुन से आपको profit चाहिए. इस अर्जुन से आपको ethics चाहिए. You know, and employer's brand and overall market brand भी चाहिए. So that's one concern that comes up in this particular case. And lastly, the battle between mind and heart, cognitive dissonance is what this is called in psychology. We'll talk about this in detail. For right now, this is what, of course, there can be so many other points also, but this is where we come from. This is a fact. This is a research, and this is a fact. And of course, so many people who would have gone unreported, the number would be higher. So India is considered to be the suicide capital of the world, and that's also very sad. And it is considered to be suicide capital of the world. And so that causes more concern, and certainly enough, there will be a larger number of people in this 150 million who will be workplace professionals in some way. So some workers in some whatever industry that is there. So maybe not able to meet their daily ends, etc. All of those things are there, right? So I've got these notes. I'll just refer to them also. So all of this put together somewhere causes pressure on leadership, on profits, on productivity, and us, people like us, how we manage these people, how we manage our roles, whatever roles, bigger roles that we have, how do we manage that, how we percolate down to the lowest level, and how we ensure some kind of productivity is happening and people are not under stress. Because if people are under stress, whatever might be the reason, we can't expect from them some kind of creativity, some kind of productivity in terms of doing extra. Like I always say, people don't pick up their phones on, let's say, Sunday or maybe a holiday, right? But I'm like, boss, but you do pick up your phones coming from a family on a weekday, na? आज के दिन में घर से फोन आएगा उठाओगे ना, तो कुछ अर्जेंट है, डोंट मेक इट अ प्रैक्टिस. आई अंडरस्टैंड द वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस पार्ट, बट as a, and especially when you know it can be really urgent, why don't you pick up the call and finish it off, right? Don't just be glued to your phone on a Sunday. Totally understandable. और कुछ urgent है और आपको पता है एक फोन से 5 मिनट या 2 मिनट के फोन में that thing will get over. Why did you pick it up? You pick up your phone at office also, no, the home phones. Then why be so rigid about Sundays? So that is a concept that I come from and that I talk about, that as a leadership, how do we naturally inspire our people to come to a productive level. Now about Bhagwad Gita. Till now we've not talked about Gita, and that's the whole point. Bhagwad Gita first chapter is all about Arjun Singh, sulking. मेरे बड़े हैं, इनको मारना नहीं है, ठीक नहीं है, प्रॉपर्टी के लिए इनको मारूंगा, अच्छा नहीं लगेगा, नाम खराब होगा, etc etc, all of those things. A lot of times people say कृष्ण का तो second chapter से शुरू होता है, the lecture, so why read the first chapter? And I'm like, and I say this to you also, till the time we don't understand the Arjun in me right now. He had separate questions. I don't have war questions, but I have my own questions. Till the time I don't have my questions, let's not go into Bhagwad Gita. And that's why Krishna has to be kept outside. So that I take the lecture, I take the cream and keep it aside, keep the rest aside. So what are the things for me? Where do I come from? What are my questions in my life? Personal life, professional life. Where are my questions? Where are my areas? And for which I want answers. And then let's open any book of religion, the answers will be the same. From what I have seen, what I've read and understood, various religions, I've understood this to be that the answers are really the same. The language might be the same, different, but the whole answer, the whole essence is the same everywhere, right? So this is where it is. Now let's start with Gita. So who am I?
तथा वश में किया हुआ है शरीर जिसके ऐसा जितेंद्रिय और विशुद्ध अंत कर्ण वाला एवं संपूर्ण प्राणियों के आत्मस्वरूप परमात्मा में एक ही भाव हुआ, निष्काम कर्मयोगी कर्म करता हुआ ही लिपायमान नहीं होता.
I know, so difficult. Thank you. How do we get answers? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anything, ma'am? Anyone? This is all karma yoga, by the way.
तथा ज्ञानी पुरुष को चाहिए कि कर्मों में आसक्ति वाले अज्ञानियों की बुद्धि में भ्रम अर्थात कर्मों में अश्रद्धा उत्पन्न न करे, किंतु स्वयं परमात्मा के स्वरूप में स्थित हुआ और सब कर्मों को अच्छी प्रकार करता हुआ उनसे भी वैसे ही करावे.
Right. Thank you. I'll still go with the torture. People sitting on the aisle, sir.
क्योंकि कर्मों के फल में मेरी स्पृहा नहीं है, इसलिए मेरे को कर्म लिपायमान नहीं करते. इस प्रकार तो मेरे को तत्व से जानता है, वह भी कर्मों से नहीं बनता है.
Right, thank you. It is difficult to read these things. It's difficult to comprehend these things as solutions. So might as well not read Bhagwad Gita, please. I had not read Bhagwad Gita for a long time. I prefer reading the commentaries of certain people. Certain learned ones, Vinoba Bhave, for example, Swami Chinmayanand, for example, but the commentaries, not the slope-wise thing. And I find that after that, when I read this, there's a lot of sense that comes in. So let's keep the religious conditioning out of this particular thing. What I'm trying to say is, for example, when I do read the interpretations or commentaries of people, I prefer the Goras, because they are like very free to comment, because they don't have the religious limitations to commentary. So when they comment, they are the people who are really wanting to understand something, and they're commenting on it, and you really get a lot of sense from them. So the idea is not the Gora thing. The idea is to read Bhagwad Gita from the perspective of finding answers, rather than reading it like this, finding it obviously difficult, and then when it transfers from Hindi to English, Also from Sanskrit to Hindi, Hindi to English, there is some kind of a erosion of what is to be said. And so rather read the interpretation first. This is what I'm saying. Because certainly enough, the solutions are there, the answers are there, but we need to shift our base in that perspective. Alright, so who am I? So who am I is what Gita is saying. Gita is saying, tum atma ho, tum sharir nahi ho. How does that help me in these problems? No, so I'll tell you what Gita is saying. So Gita is saying, Atma nitya hai, ajanmi hai, avinashi hai. We've heard all this. How does it matter? So what it says is, and what we have to understand here is that this particular thing is about who am I, about who I'm really. For example, if somebody cuts my legs, cuts my hands, I'll still be there. Right? I'll still be there. The anurag will still be there. He'll be feeling thirsty, feeling hungry, having thoughts, having certain things to do, having judgments about people, if at all, whatever, right? The same pattern will be there. Maybe certain sorrow will be more because of the body going through some challenges, but it will still be the same anurag, right? Or if anurag is gone for some kind of a trekking alone and he falls down and hits the head on a stone and loses memory, and then suddenly मैं कौन हूँ, मैं कहाँ हूँ, some गावाला coming, कौन हो भाई साहब, पता नहीं यार कौन है. So this guy, चलो हमारे साथ रहो. Now the name is changed, the whole structure is changed. पीछे पैसे हैं, family है, psychologist, PhD, this, that, etc. Nothing now. But still, I will be there. I will be there. That me who thinks about me will be there. That me who will judge others or want to grow, etc. All the things that we have right now will be there. So if I meet an accident, for example, and I do recover from that, now that becomes a memory. What this thing is saying is that yes, it has become memory, all right, but somewhere you went through that, and now it's just a memory. You are still the same me. Nobody can take away that presence from you. Nobody has the ability to take away that presence from you. So when it says avinashi, it basically means nobody can harm you ever. Till the time you're alive, you are alive. Let's not go into janams, previous and future, right? Let's talk this. If something happens to me, something very bad happens to me, it is still a memory now. It happened to me in the past, but now it's a memory, and I'm living with that thing. What happens now? What Bhagwad Gita says, what happens now? I'm free. I'm fearless. Somewhere I'm able to take risks because जो भी होगा मैं तो रहूँगा ना, कर लेंगे कुछ. मुझे कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. That is what is being said here, that तुम अविनाशी हो, नित्य हो, you're always there, you are avinashi, nothing is going to harm you, nothing can harm you, ever. So you basically, when you get attached with this body, like Krishna talked about, तुम क्यों नपुंसक जैसी बात कर रहा है, तुम क्यों पंडितों जैसी बात कर रहे, he tried to challenge the warrior on one hand. On the other hand, he tried to focus on the part of the internal me that is there. He said, how do you take that out? And that's where the Gita lecture started. And initially only we are like put off. Hey, Atma kya samajh mein aayega yaar? Whatever you read right now and the challenges we discussed or certain challenges we might have had, kya fark padega ye padh ke? Kuch samajh nahi aayega. And obviously yaar Gita chodo yaar. Let's maybe have Robin Sharma. Let's read Robin Sharma, for example, right? Or some other guy. Let's listen to Shiv Khera or again somebody else. But even that is not helping. That is also not helping. So where do I get help from? You get help from inside. That is the only way you get help from. So that is what Gita is saying. Basically Gita is saying, this is the body. Then there are these senses, the 5 senses. Beyond the senses is the mind. Beyond the mind is the buddhi, vivek. Beyond that is who you are. All this is a play. Anything that you can say, you can see your brain working, you can see your mind working, you can see your senses working, you can see your body working, you can see all of that. So obviously you are behind that, you are beyond that. You are able to see it. For example, a mirror cannot see itself. A weighing machine cannot weigh itself, right? Similarly here, a camera cannot take its own picture. So similarly here, you are beyond the mind, body, etc. things. And I don't want to get into the Atma factor because it's very complex. Let's not get into that. I'm just keeping it very simple. Let's not talk about the lecture here. Let's think, I'm beyond all this. Nobody in the world can touch me. Whatever happens, happens to the body. Whatever happens might happen to the mind, to the brain. But nobody can touch me. That's freedom. That's what it is said here. That is what it is said here. That you guys, you are free. You take any calls, it's all right. Yes, you have fears related to the body because survival, money, all the things we have are related to body, right? They are related to body. All the needs are related to body. And the whole identity is wrong in the first place. You're not this body. Body chali jayegi thodi to bhi chalega. If I die right now, just now, if I die, what up? I'll be lying here, right? My hand, legs, eyes, ears, nose, teeth, everything is there in this body. This body which is lying here, everything is there, na? But it is not speaking. It is not asking questions. It is not comprehending. What Prashna Upanishad says is, who is speaking from me right now? Who is listening right now? Who is seeing right now? Who is that? Not, again, no Atma Shatma, nothing at all. It's just a question. Who is seeing right now? कौन देख रहा है? ये कौन है जो देख रहा है, जो तब नहीं देख रहा होगा? The best of food, the smell is there, this guy is not even responding. What is missing now? Again, we will not go into the Atma part. Just a question a child is asking, knowing nothing about this. Just a question. And that gives me a lot of freedom. That is what the entire initial Jnana Yoga is saying, which is also called Tattva Yoga in Bhagwad Gita. And what Krishna is saying is, if somebody knows Tattva Gyan perfectly, he is beyond. He's set. कर्म योग तो अभी आया नहीं. We are talking तत्व ज्ञान. बोल ये अगर पता चल जाए तो उसके बाद I am so free to work in the way that I should. Not that somebody has told me to do, but the way I should, like an entrepreneur, right? As I always say, as an employee, I don't have to tell you people, you guys are all very senior, but the fact that we should all, work like entrepreneurs. All of us in our roles are the entrepreneurs. That's what the system wants. See, an entrepreneur, for example, I start a kirana shop. I'm the entrepreneur, right? I've got 2 guys under me. All right. The business does well. I open 3 more shops. Now, I cannot be there everywhere. So, I probably have some kind of a, in our language, branch manager sitting there, right? This guy is managing the shop. Will he have the same energy like me, the same passion like me? Should have. He doesn't have. Now, I want my clone to be there everywhere. Not possible. So, the founder would want his or her clone to be there as an entrepreneur. Of course, there are some limitations. We can understand we can't take all the calls. Most of the calls we can. And let us take those risks, is what Gita is saying. Be an entrepreneur in your work. And what is to be told, all these employees' stress we talked about, if somebody is given that basic freedom, what is told in self-actualization, the basic autonomy, is something that we all want. Now we'll go ahead. So, one very challenging thing in Bhagwad Gita, that's why I say don't read this. 18.33, the thing. Krishna is saying, like a teacher, भैया मेरा हो गया. 18th is the last adhyay, right? 6.3 श्लोक. मेरा हो गया, सब बोल दिया, अब तू देख ले तेरे को क्या करना है. I'm done. Very smart. I'm done. Obviously यार हो गया ना, MBA थोड़ी चल रहा है 2 साल. Done यार, now take your calls. Stand up or don't stand, whatever you want to do. And Arjun is sitting like this. And poor Krishna is thinking, यार ये तो इज्जत खराब कर देगा मेरी यार. कुछ तो बोल बाबा. He is sitting like this, quietly. 18.64 also, 18.65 also. Now until 18.66, Krishna is saying, boss, मैं तेरे को गारंटी देता हूँ, तेरे को कुछ नहीं होगा, तेरे पे कोई पाप नहीं लगेगा, कोई कर्म तेरा नहीं है, तू लड़ यार. मैंने कहा ये तो आरबीआई का बॉन्ड हो गया, हमें तो नहीं मिलता है, हमारे को प्रॉब्लम है, हमारे को तो कृष्ण आके नहीं बोल रहे आरबीआई का बॉन्ड दे दो भैया. तो मैंने बोला है तो ठीक है सब, ऐसा तो हमारे साथ नहीं हो रहा है, तो ये तो चिढ़ गए. अर्जुन वहाँ खड़ा, वो विराट रूप देख चुका है, उसने रियली दैट भगवान का रूप देख लिया उसने, उसके बाद भी वो खड़ा नहीं हो रहा है. ये क्या मतलब है? So the honesty of Ved Vyas, is that is clearly saying, boss, भगवान के मुंह से सुन के भी गारंटी नहीं है. You will have to work on that. Don't think a Shiv Khera lecture will, we heard Shiv Khera almost 20 years ago in Jaipur, Agra, we had this conference in our company. So, रोंगटे खड़े हो गए थे. 20 साल पहले उम्र भी ऐसी थी ना, जरा सी बात पे वो रोंगटे खड़े हो जाते. I remember still, we were wearing the company t-shirts and the hair was standing, literally, boss कुछ कर लेंगे जीवन में अभी. Not even 2 days. That's it. 2 days. Maybe that flavor was there. Anyways, that's the party mode. And we go for offsites and everything. So वो मजे में सब भूल गए. Done. So अगर मैं ध्यान से सुन रहा हूँ तो भी it might be 7 days. But what we have to do whenever we read such things, whenever we read such good books, whenever we listen to great people, we need to make notes and we need to understand that these are the notes. Now notes is something which I make for me. So only those things which I take, not everything. It's not an MBA class जिसका एग्जाम होने वाला है. Only those things, maybe 2 things which I like from Chief Kera. बोला अच्छा बोला, ये अच्छा बोला इसने. Let us make my note and let me make it as a part of my SOP, personal SOP. ये करना है अभी. Then only it makes sense. Otherwise, a lot of lecture is there. It doesn't make sense. This is what Gita is trying to say, right? So this is the honesty of this guy. It's really, really honest. On the face, he's saying, boss, कुछ नहीं होगा. तुम कितना ही कर लो, भगवान ने भी तुम्हें लेक्चर दे दिया, कुछ नहीं होगा. Nothing is moving inside you. Not even stand. You're not even moving. And then आगे 18.63, 66 से आगे 18.70, 72, just the last 18.78 Gita ends. 6 श्लोक पहले कृष्ण is asking, भैया तेरा मोह खत्म हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? And then he's saying, हाँ हो गया. Now one would ask, कर्म योग, भक्ति योग, ज्ञान योग, ध्यान योग, and then निष्काम कर्म, etc. and the विराट रूप and the परम गति, ये कर्म, वो कर्म, सतोगुण, रजोगुण, etc. संचित कर्म. So much ज्ञान has been given. Why are you asking only moh? You're summarizing, right? Why are you asking only moh? So ideally it's a summary. So why moh? So the thing is this started in the second chapter with moh. तू क्यों अपनी wrong identity से मोहित हो रहा है? And in the end, तेरा मोह खत्म हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? So somewhere Gita tells us, Ved Vyas tells us that this is a summary of the book, of the lesson. Attachment to the wrong identity. I am this body. Right? This is Tattva Gyan. This is considered to be the highest in Bhagwad Gita. Attachment to the body. Now I understand in the life, I am living the same life like yours, right? I don't live in some jungle, that's why I wear these clothes particularly. I don't wear a kurta, I don't wear anything else. I wear the same clothes because we also wear the same clothes. I want to tell you, I come from the same place where you're coming from, right? So, and the same life, and the same lifestyles, and the same shock, and the same foodie that I am, big time foodie, etc. मेरा वही life है भाई, same है. I'm coming from that. But this relates to me that I am not this body because this makes me free. In so many instances, this one fact that I am not this body, I am beyond the body, I am beyond my mind, I am beyond my brain, I am the observer, I am the CCTV. When I look at that, when I look at life from that perspective, I get so much freedom in taking decisions, taking tough decisions, taking ethical decisions. There are so many times I've had a dilemma about taking this training or not on the ethical front, and I've refused that. Why? Because I was so clear about ethics. I was so clear about ethics, and that's what I'm trying to say through this. Now we'll go into the 21st century leadership. Little questions we need to ask. Why do you work? So it's to you also, yourself, and to your team. And what I believe, it is very difficult to monitor the last guy in your vertical. So generally a manager would have not more than 15 people under him or her. Should be not more than that, right? Except the FOS guys. Otherwise, it's just 10-15 people under you. Can I focus on those 10-15 people only? And can everyone focus on their 10-15 people? Can we but get behind this cultural shift? Can we get behind this that, boss, this is the way things have to happen? नहीं तो middle level आते आते, well, I'll be talking about this, sir. Middle level आते आते वो flavor कभी कभी कम हो जाता है. Lot of corporate lectures, lot of McKinsey studies, etc. I've been saying top management is excellent, but somewhere in the middle level, things change. Things change. So why are we losing that hold? We're not supposed to lose that hold. As senior people here, what I can advise you is that can I take care of my guys? That's it. And I take care of them big time. Can I create this kind of, so I'm not saying Bhagwad Gita lecture, but can I talk to them? Like really talk to them other than business. Except for those parties, which we generally have with our team, there we don't talk, right? There we enjoy in a different way. I'm talking to them. 15 people, let's say 15 people, 30 days in a month. Can I sit with everybody 2 days in a gap of 15 days? That's enough. Not too close, not too far. 15. Just one guy, uska target bana liya maine. Let's keep Sundays accordingly we manage. So I get this guy as a target. Aaj tere saath baithunga. Not that tere saath baithunga. I start talking to this guy. Generally, what is happening in your life? What is this? What is that? Etc. What are about your goals? Can I have that conversation with these guys? And can I also ensure that these people have their conversation with their people down the line? Can we take it to the last point in the hierarchy? Can we ensure people doing that? Because this is what is spiritual leadership. Spiritual leadership is when I care for my people, when I really care for that people, when I get excited about their growth, when I really want them to grow, when I push them to grow, if I scold them and tell them, boss, ऐसे तू grow कैसे करेगा यार? This is no way. If I can do that, of course numbers are there, everything is there, but can I create that emotional touch with my fellows? People leave bosses, as they say in the market. Can I ensure nobody leaves me? That's what is one of my dharma. I have to do that. It is important that me in my vertical, entire vertical, there is a culture set. Obviously in line with the organizational culture, but overall there is a culture set, nobody leaves bosses. Because the culture is so emotionally connected with people down the line that nobody leaves you because you are there and nobody leaves you. Can we focus on that part is what Gita is saying. So this is one. Second is this one. Now, yeah, we have to push ourselves. But look at this. This girl is pushing a huge version of herself. We don't want this life. We would rather say, let me work through my passion. Let me drive myself, not push myself. That's the shift that we're talking about. And of course this. You can read this. These are all WhatsApp things. Yeah? These are all WhatsApp things. People wait for a weekend from Thursday. And then there is a famous Monday blues. I've got a blog and a video also on my channel and YouTube channel, on my website also on this. I have a big problem with Monday blues. I say, and the title is Monday blues is a scam. It's a scam. I mean, what is Monday blues? How can you have Monday blues? How can you have a face like this on a Monday morning? Or probably every morning. You're getting up in the morning, अरे यार आज भी जाना पड़ेगा यार, क्या तकलीफ है लाइफ में यार, क्या करेंगे अभी? You know, why is this mindset there? Why is this mindset? I have a problem. I am fighting with this mindset. I don't like this mindset. And lastly, oh my God, fashion बन गया यार ये. Toxic culture, people don't even know the real meaning of toxic and it's just become a fashion to say it's a toxic culture. I mean, why would you say toxic? Why would any team member sitting here on the top, why would my team member ever say toxic? And we can go into social psychology, which we won't. There is a lot of peer thing that happens around us and that's what affects us. And that's where we need to ensure every 15 days we have a conversation with our fellow trying to upgrade the self-esteem. Last month only, I was in Bombay for a TEDx talk. The topic was self-esteem only. I talked big time on that. And maybe a couple of slides are there from that particular thing also. So I am just saying that self-esteem is big time missing. Maybe thanks to education system, maybe thanks to parental pressure on the child's. बच्चे के लिए तो कर रहे हैं ना. So that is also there. So, but yeah, it takes our toll. And then people find these words beautiful. Hashtag OTT also. Right? People find these words beautiful. They say, toxic culture. I'm like, what is toxic about this culture here? Why did you go out of this culture if it is toxic? They won't even go out. Well, they say toxic. So this is where as a manager, I have to ensure there is nothing toxic at the workplace. Certainly this word is not to be accepted at all. And then now, a little bit more on the Karma Yoga. We know this self-actualization, Maslow, we've all read about it. Basically Maslow is saying, shuru mein insan, this is a hierarchy of needs, the way needs grow. So I'll explain it in a way. So I did a research paper on this which I'll show you very soon. So he's saying roti kapda makan इंसान का सेट हो जाए तो उसको थोड़ा सा प्यार चाहिए, फैमिली चाहिए, दोस्त चाहिए, वो भी हो जाता है तो बोलता है अब मेरे को स्टेटस चाहिए, मेरा विजिटिंग कार्ड हैवी होना चाहिए, थोड़ा कहीं रोटरी का मेंबर बन गए, प्रेसिडेंट बन गया सोसाइटी के एक्सेट्रा. एंड देन वंस आई हैव अचीव्ड ऑल दिस, गाड़ी है, बंगला है, बैंक बैलेंस है, everything is there. Now what do you have? So now I want to take risks because now I feel safe. Now I want to take risks. Now I want to go to the extra mile. Now I really want to achieve things because pehle I was playing somewhere in fear. That is what Maslow is saying. 20 years later, Maslow refuted his own story. We'll talk about that. This in Bhagwad Gita is called Vikaram. In the 4th Adhyaya, Vikaram. Vikaram is self-actualization. Vikaram is वो कर्म, गीता की लैंग्वेज में बोले तो जिसको करने से आत्मा को शुद्धि मिले. दैट्स अ गीता लैंग्वेज. मुझे ऐसा वो काम करे जिसको करके मजा आ जाए. You know that मजा आ जाए. I feel so complete. I feel my life so meaningful. I feel so happy. When was the last time we felt like that? is the question probably we have to ask, and also my team has to ask themselves. This is spiritual leadership. When did this happen? When the Vikram thing played, when I felt so good. That's what self-actualization was then told by Maslow. Then 20 years later, he refuted his own theory. So ऐसा नहीं होता है. He added another angle, which is self-transcendence. Well, at some level, you have to transcend yourself. You have to go beyond yourself. Go beyond yourself. So what is this? This here is akarm and nishkam karam. Now let's come to nishkam karam, because I said कर्म कर फल की चिंता मत कर. Sorry boss, ऐसा नहीं होता है. So let me clear this. It is very clearly mentioned here in the further chapters that अकर्म is that कर्म जिसको करते करते वो काम मेरे लिए कर्म ना रह जाए. I'll give you an example. Now, just to understand, I'm doing some work and the company says you shift into another department. You've been transferred. I'm like, no. You'll be given better pay. No, I don't want to leave this. I enjoy doing this. Even at a higher pay, I'll say, no, I don't, because I enjoy it so much that this work is not work. This work just completes me. That is akarm. Akarm is where not काम नहीं करना. Akarm is where I love doing it so much that I mean, money आएगा तो चाहिए यार, money चाहिए, money भी आ जाएगा, but money is not what I work for, because I get so much satisfaction from this work. I get so much achievement from this work. Do I get the same achievement in my work is the question that has to be asked by my team member. This is what is spiritual leadership. When I ensure every single person in my team asks this question to himself or herself, the same thing is probably applied to me as well. Do I ask this question to myself? Am I totally into number game, or I take care of this, कि काम करते करते I transcend myself? Not that I keep on working on Sundays and I become a workaholic and I spoil my work-life management, etc. I don't say that. But I'm saying within the zone of my work timings, if I do my work in such a way that I forget myself, अब जब मैं अपने आप को ही भूल गया तो कर्म करके फल की इच्छा कौन कर रहा है? कर ही कौन रहा है? फल तो आएगा ही. And that's what I tell always in my trainings for salaried people. Please understand, salary तो आनी है ना. As a businessman, I might think certain things. यार थोड़ा कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ कर लेते हैं, थोड़ा कुछ कर लेते हैं, पैसा भी कमाना है, धंधा, पर आपका तो सैलरी आ रहा है ना. जस्ट व्हाट यू टेल योर गाइस, सैलरी तो आ ही रहा है ना. तो व्हाट डू यू हैव टू डू? वर्क. व्हाट इज लेफ्ट? द टू एलिमेंट्स, राइट? पैसा एंड काम. जनरली तो वो भी नहीं है, बट पैसा एंड काम, टू थिंग्स आर देयर. पैसा तो आने ही वाला है मंथ के एंड में. सो कैन आई फोकस ऑन दी वर्क पार्ट? कैन आई फोकस ऑन दी एक्सेलेंस पार्ट? राइट? सो दैट इज वेयर दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग इज टेलिंग. एंड देन there is this स्वधर्म. स्वधर्म क्या है? शहद का स्वधर्म है मिठास, अग्नि का धर्म है प्रकाश, हाथी का धर्म है स्ट्रेंथ. लेट्स से जस्ट फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, मेरा क्या धर्म है? एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग आई वुड वांट सम आंसर फ्रॉम यू. मेरा क्या धर्म है? व्हाट इज इट दैट डिफाइंस मी एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग? व्हाट इज इट दैट डिफाइंस मी इन द सेंस दैट आई डोंट हैव टू स्पेंड माई एनर्जीज इनटू दिस. आई जस्ट डू इट. I don't spend my energies into this. It is so natural, like dropping this thing, just leaving this thing, it just falls down because of gravity. There's no effort. It's just happening on its own. Flowing with the river in a boat, I don't have to expend my energy. Probably direction has to be seen. Otherwise, so nadi leke ja rahi hai boat ko. So I'm not tired, right? Except that I might be sitting and getting tired. That's the only thing. I am asking you, I'm willing to ask you, somebody, if you can just raise your hand and tell me, what do you think as a species, human species, all of us are humans, right? Just to remind you, as a species, what is it that differentiates me, or maybe, makes me apart from others, or gives me identity? Whatever way you can ask this question. What is it that gives me identity as a human being? Where the energy is not spent. What is that one thing in us that gives us difference? If somebody can answer, it will be very nice. So humans, right? So us individually. What is it that gives me that identity where the energy is not spent? That's it. Simple question. We can brainstorm. There's no right and wrong. Please, we are beyond right and wrong, I assume. So whatever is the answer, you can just give, but just speak out. Inspiration. All right? Inspiration. और कुछ? Knowledge. Okay. और कुछ? Thinking ability, the contemplation, introspection part, the creativity part, critical thinking part. Great. What else? Imagination, superb. The favorite word of Einstein, what he said, I am passionately curious and of course imagination. Two words which he used always. Big fan of Einstein, that's why this immediately came up. Anything else? Sorry? Resilience, yes, resilience. But resilience can be there in animals too. Certain animals, certain pain, certain difficulty, they might be resilient. Yes, we can be consciously resilient. Consciously, the animal cannot be consciously resilient. This guy will just be resilient by instincts. We can consciously be resilient and we'll know when to stop, when to start. So that is there. Anything? Aspirations, yes, the growth aspirations. We can be consciously aspiring to grow, goal setting and then also planning, strategizing for achieving that goal. Great.
Our ability to communicate, connect. So even animals connect with each other, but we think more than just about the community, about nature, environment, future.
So connect is a word I see in a different way that you said. So connect, being able to connect with others, right? So we are able to connect with people. Anything else? Maybe one or two. Sorry? Yeah, that discrimination, yeah, that is there. Yeah, all right, all right. So yes, all these things define us as humans. We'll address these things in a little while. But what I have talked about here is Seva Bhav and also Nishkam Karam. Nishkam Karam we talked about the feeling of working without the desire for fruits, because I love my work so much. कामयाबी तो झक मार के आएगी. Let's focus on the काबिलियत part is what this actually means. So that is there. Nishkam Karam is there, and that is where our PMSs we don't have to worry about. I know the appraisal are a difficult thing to say. All the bell curves. When I talk to people in the down the line, people are always critical about bell curve. Then I explained why bell curve is important and why this is the right way. People don't even know what is bell curve. Bell curve, bell curve, bell curve. All this April, May, June, etc. months, people are cribbing about bell curve. I'm like, boss, please understand. Boss खुद किसे प्रेशर से जा रहा है वो सोचो आप. It is not easy to promote everybody. It is difficult. So anyways, that is one part. Seva bhav, right? All customer service part, customer relationship management. I've just put in a banking word here, but it could be anything, right? All about customer service. The seva bhav. See, सेवा करने में मेरा कोई effort नहीं जा रहा है अगर मेरी भावना सेवा की है. That's what Bhagwad Gita is saying. Can I focus on the seva bhav? When I'm servicing not only the customer, but also the bank. As I said, boss, salary to aane wali hai na. Can I enter the office? Now I'll give you a perspective here. When I enter my office, I've got certain skills, right? I've got certain skills for which I am hired. And of course, I have experience also. I have certain skills and I've got experience. When I enter the bank, can I think, how can I serve the bank with the abilities I have? Can that be a shift in the way I look at my job? Can that be a thinking change? Can that be the way I totally redefine my workplace? पहली बात तो stress गया. Now, of course, when I say seva, there is no expectation. इतना करते हैं फिर भी मिलता नहीं है. Wrote that. We don't belong to that zone anyways, but people do belong. नीचे. I am saying, can I think like this? When I come in without expectations, I am just doing my work. And I'll tell you this, Mother Teresa said, I'm paraphrasing it. She said, I'm just paraphrasing it. She said, इस appraisal के लिए वो appraisal मत बिगाड़ो. ये appraisal तो सुधार लोगे with all the question mark here is on the word ethics and the other ways of manipulations. She's saying, इस appraisal के लिए वो appraisal मत बिगाड़ो. ये वो appraisal बिगड़ाना boss. Then you'll always say, why me? मेरे साथ ही क्यों हो रहा है? मैं तो अच्छा इंसान हूँ, मेरे साथ क्यों हो रहा है? Right? Then this might actually populate into further janams and all the stories there. Will not go into that, right? And there is a lot of scientific research on that, but still we'll avoid that topic. But please understand, can I work with Seva Bhav? Can I work with, as rightly said in the beginning, adding value to mind, body and soul? That's what my Seva Bhav is standing here. Whatever value I can add to either mind or soul or body or all of three or two of them, whatever it is. This is what I do. This is what the intention is when I stand here. This is the only intention I have in anything I do. Whether it is me playing the role of a meditation coach or a psychologist so not getting too much into it, but I have cured a lot of mental illness amongst people through counseling. Of course, meditation was one of the parts of it. And I'm proud to say that. I'm proud to feel, chalo yaar, kuch acha kaam kiya hai, right? So that part. Can I enter the workplace with a mindset, boss, मेरी ability से मैं बैंक के लिए कुछ help करूँगा, that's it. बाकी तो हो जाएगा. And trust me and trust me and trust me. Eventually things will fall in place and you will see जिस growth के पीछे मैं भाग रहा था, that will come on its own. On its own it will come. So from experience I can tell you, with this bhavana, it might be a little challenging sometimes internally. इतना काम कर रहे हैं, क्या फायदा, क्या सेवा? You know, obviously the mindset is not there, so obviously that questions would be there. But just stick to it. Stick to it for some time daily. I mean, you can start it right now or from whatever you want tomorrow. When you enter the office, you think, or when you go to a workstation, you think, boss, how can I do seva? How can I add value to this system? Of course, adding value to my subordinates, which is a part of spiritual leadership, but also the fact that how can I add value further on, right? Now we'll quickly go through a couple of things. So Maslow is also saying, if you don't self-actualize yourself, that will become the biggest reason of your unhappiness. That is, if I, like for example, if I could have done 10 units more, I'm just saying 10 units more, but I didn't do because इतना पैसा नहीं मिल रहा मुझे, मैं क्यों करूँ? Time हो गया, मैं क्यों? आज तो Sunday, मैं क्यों? Somewhere, you know, there is something inside you which will tell you, boss ये कर लेता तो खत्म हो जाता. उसको वो wait कर रहा होगा. I convince myself, हट नहीं करना. But something inside you will always be there telling you, इतना सा और था यार, खत्म कर देना था. इतना सा और effort डालता तो ये हो जाता. इतना सा और, it is always इतना सा और. It is really not much. We make stories out of things, but इतना सा और extra. That is what this thing is saying. वो इतना सा और ना करना justification में दे दूंगा. But what Maslow is saying is, this remains the biggest reason of your unhappiness. And like people are like, यार दुखी क्यों रहता तू? हंसा करना थोड़ा. हाँ यार जिंदगी अभी यार. हाँ यार. कुछ नहीं. It is your thing. It is your thing. You can add value to yourself. The seva bhav. It has to be there. The same thing goes with the customer. Empathy with the customer. Understanding what this guy is probably going through. This may not be particularly your domain, but your team is certainly going through that. And you have to ensure, or the internal other systems, if you are managing IT systems. So then we have to ensure, not because my boss is saying, because my PMS has to be good, but because, boss, this is obvious. I'm giving a responsibility and I have to ensure certain things to be taken care of properly so that that guy, that teller out there is not facing any problem. Come on. Some teller in some city in India, somewhere in Tamil Nadu maybe, I don't know. Right? So that is what we're talking about. So this is my model on workplace spirit. So 2 research papers I did. One of them was this: when there is an extrinsic motivation, when there is an intrinsic motivation, and obviously research says intrinsic motivation is better. Extrinsic motivation is harmful to the employee and the employer both. Extrinsic motivation is more harmful compared to intrinsic motivation, is what research is saying. Then we have, there's some kind of an inner calling. There's always a self-actualization. Kaizen मेरे को Japanese नहीं सिखाएगा यार. Kaizen is something or better is something in me. It is always there. Steve Jobs said, can my tomorrow be better than today? Can my today be better than yesterday? Can that be the only goal in my life? The only goal in my life, can my tomorrow be better than today? That's Kaizen, right? Continuous improvement. And then we have this workplace spirituality which you're talking about. All of this and your skills and ability, you know, builds up. And there's a research on this, which this model is made. As I said, I made a research paper on this. So progressive values and attitude put together lead to enhanced job performance, right? We'll see a little video now from a legend. His books are there. For me, he's a legend. Jack Welch, GE. I'm sure you would know the guy from GE.
What is the role of a leader? Well, the first one clearly is to be the chief meeting officer. To let everyone in the place know where you're going, why you're going there, and most importantly, what's in it for them to get there with you. People like to talk about where they're going, why they're going there, but they don't. They always leave out the third thing. When you come into a new job and you say, we want to change. Change is great. We got to do it. You forget people hate change. You got to explain what's in it for them to change with you. So be the chief meaning officer and give meaning to every one of those people that are out there doing that job so that they understand why you're going where you're going. And they know what's in it for them. Better job, more pay, more flexibility, maybe nothing if you can't say nothing. But you gotta understand that's one of them. Another part of a job, your job is to not give all these directives and not be the person getting rid of the clutter. Getting rid of clutter is a huge deal. You can't all of a sudden have bureaucracy. Let's go here, let's go there, then have 20 rules to stop the employees from getting there. You've got to break down all those little silos that occur, all those little bureaucrats who are checking the boxes in some layers, slowing you down.
What he said is one work, what's in for me. That's a term coined by him. And you know, he's a Six Sigma person, right? He created Six Sigma, GE aircraft for 7 Sigma. He's a outrightly process-oriented person, productivity person. But he was known to be a people's person also. He was very well known to be a people's person, Jack Welch, a wonderful legend in his own way. And having worked in GE myself in car loans, auto loans actually 2002, although he left in 2001, but the legacy was there. The footprints were there in the culture. And I always say I loved working there in GE countrywide, but then certainly enough, those things that he's talking about was seen in leadership, as was seen in the culture of the company. And that's what I'm talking about, spiritual leadership. He's saying, what's in for me? You're telling this guy, ये करना है, ये करना है, boss. मेरे लिए क्या ये बताना भाई? मेरे को तो उतनी salary मिली है ना, why should I do this? And that's why we try to bring in the concept of Seva mindset, the concept of what you will get out of it, maybe you get incentives also. And as he said, if you don't get anything, you have to still convince, you have to still inspire this guy into something on the next level. And so this is what I have to master as a leader. My team as leaders down the line have to master further on. That's what it is required. Now Arjun's decision is, our dilemma is basically this. He said, cognitive dissonance, we talked about it, that will come later. He's saying, boss, मैं अपने बड़ों को क्यों मारूं? That's a story, right? That's how the story is framed. मेरे बड़े हैं, बुजुर्ग हैं, ये हैं, वो हैं, मैं इनको क्यों मारूं? And the question would be, why is he saying that? He's a warrior. He knew ये लोग आने वाले हैं. इनको पहले भी हरा चुका है एक बार विराट युद्ध में. अब ये कहाँ से आ गया ये सब? Why is he saying all this? Right? So question ये आता है. Instead of just going with the flow, can I ask, why are you saying all this here at this moment? Right? So the thing was, when he said very arrogant, see, Arjun and Bhim were known to be extremely arrogant people. That's all the story is about. Very arrogant. This guy in arrogance says, रथ को बीच में लेके जाओ, मैं भी देखूं दुर्योधन के साथ लड़ने कौन आया है. This was after the Shankh, basically the declaration of war had happened. After that he said, a height of arrogance. Height of arrogance. बीच में लेके जाओ, मैं देखता हूं. There he saw the army. So of course he had the figures. The army was 1.5 times bigger than Pandavas. Right? That was one. Then there was Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya and Duryodhan. And of course Bhishma Pitama अच्छा मृत्यु लेके बैठे हैं. मरेंगे नहीं मरेंगे पता नहीं, अच्छा मृत्यु है. उसके बाद then Karan is already there. These are massive players. And he is only one. There is a 1:3 model here against Duryodhan is to Bhim. And now the fear is, अगर अभी मैं हार गया, because इन तीनों को somewhere this guy thought, पता नहीं मैं इनको कैसे हराऊंगा. अगर अब मैं हार गया, अगर अब हम हार गए, तो दुर्योधन के पास unquestionable authority है decision लेने की. And then this guy will go bonkers. Now it will happen. So that fear in that moment, this is called cognitive dissonance, or in our further psychology it is called neurosis. Neurosis is the battle between mind and heart. And in neurosis, the typical symptoms are हाथ काँप रहे हैं, माथे पे पसीना आ गया, शरीर कमजोर हो गया, typically नहीं वाली थाली गिरती है ना पिक्चरों में, that is neurosis, the typical scenario, right? So that thing, that is called neurosis. So as a psychologist I will tell you this guy went through a neurosis because the same symptoms are there and he fell down on the seat, leaving this thing Dhanush on the side. मैं नहीं लड़ रहा. That was a moment. वो अगर आगे नहीं गया होता तो शायद वो moment आता ही नहीं. इसका बैकग्राउंड ये है, धृतराष्ट्र ने एक दिन पहले, the king, उसने एक दिन पहले he sent Sanjay, the दूत, to the Pandav army and he said, बस छोड़ दो यार लड़ना यार, please, let's not fight. And Arjun, as the story goes, Arjun was very arrogantly saying, अब देखना भीम विल किल ऑल योर सन्स, अब देखना हम क्या करेंगे, लाइक ऑल एरोगेंस. एंड सडनली दैट थिंग नाउ इन इफ यू गो इनटू फर्दर डिटेल्स यू विल से धृतराष्ट्र प्लेड अ गेम देयर. It was a strategic game. He sent this guy with a lot of not a request but just a thing, छोड़ दो यार, मत करो, छोड़ दो, लड़ाई का क्या मतलब है. And this came out as डर गया है. It was a strategic game this guy played. Strategy यही था कि कहीं पे अर्जुन को, because he was known to be an emotionally volatile person, बोले इसको टच करना है, बस ये कहीं पे अगर टच हो गया, sitting there in the महल, that was the only thing he could have done probably. बोला होगा तो होगा, कुछ लगा तो लगा, नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं. That's what he tried. Now we're talking of the Arjun in me. Me in this context. We're not going with the story of Bhagwad Gita. We are saying मैं कहाँ पे हूँ यहाँ पे. Is there a cognitive dissonance? छोटा बच्चा है, एग्जाम नहीं आता है, मम्मी पेट में दुख रहा है. That is cognitive dissonance. लड़का आया स्कूल में, पता है कल मैं अपने भाई को लेके आता हूँ, तू आ तो सही, अभी स्कूल नहीं जाना है, पता नहीं क्या होगा, मम्मी आज इच्छा नहीं कर रही है, आज नहीं जाना है स्कूल. You know, this is that thing. क्या ऑफिस में भी ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है? I don't want to give examples here, right? Purposely. But क्या हमारे साथ ऑफिस में भी ऐसा हो रहा है? क्या हमारे साथ वर्क प्लेस में ऐसा हो रहा है? क्या वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, सो कॉल्ड वर्क लाइफ पैरामीटर्स में ऐसा हो रहा है? Wherever this is happening, I'm stuck here. And this is called cognitive dissonance. And particularly my guy, the fellows under me, those fellows, are they going through this? Because when they're reporting to me, they're different. When they're talking amongst themselves, they're different. We have been through that, we know that, right? So is it some kind of a fear this guy has from me? Is it some kind of a lack of openness of communication which is there? Most importantly, is this guy having a fear or some concern that this way I'll not be able to grow? And if the person thinks I'll not be able to grow, either is a dead person in terms of productivity or this guy is certainly going to leave. Can we catch the signs? So that's why I said 15 days once we have to talk to this guy so that we understand the pulse of his heart, of his mind, whatever is going on inside. We get the pulse of what he's saying. कहीं ना कहीं मुझे check करना पड़ेगा. Suddenly this guy is leaving. Why is this guy leaving? I don't want retention. I said there is productivity. For example, discipline की बात कर रहे हैं. There is a football game, right? This is the boundary, let's say, and the ball comes out. This is out, right? This is a foul. Now if the referee thinks, चल यार थोड़ा सा ही है, कोई बात नहीं. Obviously it's going to become a mess. Tennis or a cricket boundary, the boundaries are there and they have to be maintained. They have to be outrightly maintained. There is no option there. As a leader, I have to maintain those boundaries. चल यार थोड़ा सा ही है, चल यार देख ले, चल यार कर ले. So that's not supposed to be allowed. But then, if I go beyond, this guy will leave. Or get demotivated. Or this guy will become a rotten apple. How do I create a balance? How do I create a balance? The balance is created, first of all, this is my opinion as a leadership coach. First of all, okay, tell me, should a boss be a friend first or a boss first? Should a leader be a boss first or a friend first? A friend first. Anybody else? Boss first. So there are two opinions. Situational to hai. But I'll tell you this, if you're a friend first, you're being nice to this guy. This guy has been nice because you're a nice boss. Now suddenly this guy makes a mistake and you scold him. He'll not be able to accept it. Because she's a friend here, why is she scolding? On the contrary, if you're a boss first, and then if you praise this guy, कंधे पे हाथ रख के क्या बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया किया, hero, the other thing, in the right sense. If you do that, this guy will be happy. यार ये भी खुश होता है यार. He's a nice guy end of the day. The nariyal thing, it is a coconut thing. You have to be hard outside. This is my view, okay? This is totally my view. You have to show that face first. And then when you are nice, this guy, gets behind you. When you focus, as he said, on your growth, when this guy is, when you as a leader, as a spiritual leader, you are so motivated towards the growth of your subordinate, this guy will not leave you. And then you scold this guy for the right reasons, and this guy will not say anything. This is how you create a balance, boss. Workplace monk. Who is this guy? 18.78, last verse of Bhagwad Gita. Sanjay is giving a closing remark to Dhritarashtra. He is saying, जहाँ कृष्ण है, जहाँ अर्जुन है, वहाँ success है, वहाँ नीति है, वहाँ prosperity है. I'm just, again, नीति is a word, but success and prosperity. Okay, these three things are said. Now I'll paraphrase it in our days, in our times. जहाँ कृष्ण है and जहाँ अर्जुन है, we say अर्जुन तो ठीक है, जहाँ कृष्ण है वहाँ success है. But what is Arjun? These are all metamorphical statements. They are all symbolic statements. What is Arjun? Arjun is the skill, is a symbol of skill. You, Arjun is a skill. Okay? And Krishna is not God. Krishna is the clarity of thought. Clarity of thought, that is Krishna. When there is a mix of that, obviously there is success. Like obviously there is success. Sustainability is there of that success. Niti hai, morals hai, ethics hai. That is why sustainability is there. Prosperity is there. That is what this is saying. This is the workplace monk, the Karma Yogi concept. The Karma Yogi concept of workplace. This is the message of, let's say, the last verse will always be the summary verse in the Bhagwad Gita lecture. And that's what this thing is saying about. Right? Here, what Karma Yogi is, as per Bhagwad Gita, Nishkam Karam, we talked about Nishkam. Who is a Karma Yogi? Right? One is Nishkam Karam. जो काम कर रहा है उसको काम में मजा आ रहा है, पैसा आ जाएगा, टेंशन नहीं. काबिलियत के पीछे भागो, कामयाबी के पीछे मत भागो. You know, that way. That Nishkam Karam. Second is your तत्वज्ञानी. तत्वज्ञानी is मैं शरीर नहीं हूँ, मैं beyond हूँ. Let's not go आत्मा etc. all that. मैं beyond हूँ because ये शरीर तो damageable है. Like in the last 3 years, all the cells in your body have changed. This is not the body which you had in the COVID times. The body is different. Right? This is science. All the cells change. They keep on recycling. Right? This body in which you are sitting right now is not the body which was there during COVID times. Right? Because the continuity is so strong and the cells die in a very less numbers compared to the total, so we cannot see the change in the body. But that's what is Tattvijnani. So therefore, while we need to take care of our body, we don't need to get attached to the body. That's we said, तेरा मोह खत्म हुआ कि नहीं हुआ. Let us not get attached to the body. Let us not get attached to our needs. Let us just focus on the work. And I always say this. This is a little controversial. People don't accept it, but I still say it. Work है और घर है. Work है और personal life है. What is a priority? I say work is a priority. If you make work as a priority, ghar will be taken care of. If you make ghar as a priority, work will suffer. And you have to create a balance, right? You don't have to work on Sundays, as I said. You don't have to work till 10 in the night, etc. All of those things are there. But priority-wise, your work is a priority. You have to think like this. This is what Gita is saying. Right? Gita is not even talking about personal life, except the personal self. Right? Work is your priority. When you love your work, when you do your work so nicely, so perfectly, you are a happy person going back home. And you create happiness around you. When you stress from here, you create stress over there. Right? First of all, you don't have to take your stress at home, but that secondary, you don't have to stress out. You don't have to stress out. When you're loving your work and when you're doing your work with the seva bhav, with no expectations, there is no entry for stress at all. Possible nahi hai stress aa jaye. The whole point here is the seva bhav. That's what is karma yogi. Third is samatva bhav. So for everybody we feel the same way. This basically talks about I and you are the same. So just that there is this water, and if I add a drop of water in this, you can't find that water afterwards. Yeah. So if I throw some water, or let's say a drop of water in the ocean, you can't find that drop of water in the ocean. Now imagine if that drop of ocean, that drop of ocean has become the ocean, right? The ocean. But if that drop of ocean starts thinking, oh my God, अब मेरा क्या होगा? इतने बड़े समंदर में मैं डूब जाऊंगी. Oh my God, so many drops also. मैं उनके साथ compete कैसे करूंगी? So either I get too aggressive or I come into too much of an inferiority complex. Either ways, I have an unsurety of success, or I become too aggressive, maybe unethical also to succeed. How foolish is that? A drop of water in the ocean is the ocean. You have access to everything if you are connected with the Almighty. So basically what Gita is saying is, surrender your work to the Almighty. काम कर और कर्म की चिंता मत, फल की चिंता मत कर. Focus on the excellence part. Because excellence, Kaizen, can my today be better than yesterday? That is something which is instinctively, without effort, available to me. right? To do better is now normal, na? I don't have to do better because my boss is telling me. I have to do better because I have to do better. Nobody has to tell me, obviously, that way. Fourth is Brahma mein sthit. Again, it's related to Tattva Gyan, but we'll go ahead now. And the last is detached. So these are the 5 parameters of Karma Yogi as defined in Bhagwad Gita. Now we'll close, we'll just finish. So happiness, if dependent on something, brings its binary sibling, unhappiness. Happiness, when dependent on something else, will bring its binary sibling, unhappiness. अगर happiness unconditional नहीं है, dependent on something है, it will certainly bring unhappiness. This is a slide from TEDx talk, by the way. The second is, remember the reason for unhappiness in life is the desire that there should not be unhappiness in my life. If I think, right, it's like you get free when you read this. When there is no desire, I am free. When there is desire but there is no attachment, I am free. But on the same hand, if I think अनहैप्पीनेस तो लाइफ में आएगी यार, कभी कभी तकलीफ तो होगी ना लाइफ में यार, थोड़ा तो कुछ होगा ना, ऐसा परफेक्ट तो किसी का लाइफ नहीं है. लेट मी एक्सेप्ट इट, लेट मी से दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ, दिस इज अ फेज ऑफ लाइफ, इट विल पास अवे, देन nothing can touch me. Finally, my research model on spiritual leadership, again a research paper I presented. So there is a boss, just stay with me, I know there would be a tendency to rush through, but just stay with me. There is a boss, a typical boss, he responds to inner calling, and that becomes a spiritual leader. Now he's suddenly boss is talking of seva bhav, suddenly boss is talking about helping the individuals to grow and helping the connecting with people. We talked about that in length, right? This now leverage the synergy with organizational growth and well-being needs and employees' psychological and material needs. I'm trying to create a synergy in them because now I'm thinking of others, not just numbers. I'm thinking of empathizing with people. Here then, this guy also responds to his inner calling and spiritual culture at the workplace, which leads to organizational well-being, employee productivity and job satisfaction. So this is what we talk about in detail in spiritual leadership. So vantage point shift is, we are here and we need to move here. This Arjun has to stop listening and start working. This is the vantage point shift I'm talking about. Alright, so meditation now. I'll talk about CCTV meditation, but let me go through this quickly. This is all mindfulness meditation. All these are methods of meditation in various religions which are there. Now again there is this PhD model, which is not exactly the PhD model, but in meditation how it works. So there is a lot of work pressure. All of these are work pressure. Lot of work pressure areas leading to occupational stress, which is understandable. So therefore there is demotivation, attrition, workplace deviance and productivity issues, which obviously leads to productivity issues. Then there is a meditation intervention which we did in my research for 20 minutes for 7 days, and we found the result. Now the result is, these are parameters of emotional intelligence. The result of my PhD research is that in just 7 days of meditation, 20 minutes per day, the EI score of employees increased. This is all on workplace professionals. The EI score of professionals increased by 7.54%. In just 6 days, 7 days of meditation, the EI score of people grew by this much, 7.5%. I also did a research paper on, it is just published, on 1 day meditation. 1 day 20-minute meditation yielded to a 5% increase in emotional intelligence as per the scores. There was a questionnaire, pre and post, we filled it up, we matched the scores and all those detailing, and that's how it became. So 5% increase in only one time meditation. So that's what meditation being talked about in Dhyan Yoga, in Bhagwad Gita, Zen meditation, Islam mein namaz, it's a form of meditation. Of course, progressive relaxation meditation, Kayotsargi in Jainism, etc., etc. All of these types of meditation which are there. Also now the second part, emotional intelligence, benefit for employees, job satisfaction, emotional regulation, motivating oneself, collaboration, employee teamwork, organization, higher productivity, motivated employees, innovation because now people are working fearlessly, right? Assuming less attrition and positive work culture leads to increased organizational profits. So that's what this model is, and I guess that's what I have to do. I'll skip this part now. We've discussed this. This is again research. All this is research, not just made up stories. Everything, every statement written here has a few research papers backing this statement, every one of these, right? And then on the body part, improvement. So these are all my particular cases where I have found benefit. I have benefited people through meditation, including diabetes, 450 to 150 in 3 months is what meditation I have been able to do. And yeah, so this is something which I am looking for a research. I am talking to hospitals. यार मेरे को 3 महीना कैंसर पे रिसर्च करनी है, फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड स्टेज, but I'm not getting a breakthrough in that. I'm hoping one day I want to do a research paper on this, but the research paper on this is there already, by the way, on cancer, right? So physical changes in the brain area, physical changes in the brain area is what meditation has done, which research has proven. So true luxury is when we don't need anything to be happy. This freedom is my birthright. When I don't need anything to be happy, just imagine what I'm saying right now. Just imagine. Just imagine. I don't need anything to be happy. That's freedom. Gen Z का क्या है? मैंने एक summary भी लिखा हुआ है यहाँ पे. I'll tell you. How do you manage summary, these people? Gen Z. These people, you know, they don't want money. They don't want money. They want money, but they don't need money. Let's put it like that, right? They want money, but they don't need money. ठीक है मिलेगा, ठीक है नहीं है, पैसा चाहिए, वो एक ego satisfaction ज़्यादा है than their need. Because the way generations have grown in India, हमारे टाइम तक ऐसा था कि हमारे पेरेंट्स बोले भैया खुद ही कमा ले, खुद ही कर ले, you know, maybe I'll support you in your education if possible, otherwise you do it on your own. Today the kids are born with a car and the best of phones and the best of TV and the best of facilities. So they think यार ये सब तो है. They fly in flights as little kids, so हमारे टाइम तो flight भी, I remember my first flight when I was in GE, I was like flight में जा रहा हूँ. I actually called up a few friends, I'm traveling in flight. That was 2002. Those were the days, right? But today these people flight, क्या हो गया flight, ठीक है, so that way. So these people don't need money. Is not a way you I'll not use the word tame them, but on the same hand capture their attention and maybe guide them in the right way. So the words are appreciation, the way you appreciate them, very important. They need appreciation. See, these are mentally emotionally difficult people, trust me. OTD मिलके खुशी मिलती है, but then they need a lot of attention, they need a lot of appreciation. घर पे issues हैं, वो हैं. There are husbands and wife today is not able to bring a great culture at home. कई जगह वैसा भी है, कई जगह कुछ और है. They're all set up in their friends, or else their ambitions are different. At some stage they will find, बॉस जो हम सोच रहे थे ऐसा होता तो नहीं है यार. And that is the time they need you, because the parents are not there. Trust me, they need you as a boss, as a mentor, as a guide. So they need appreciation, they need recognition, they need growth. पैसा नहीं, but they need growth. Timely, they want growth. Give them facts, don't hide things from them. They love facts. Out of those facts, they can be really, really creative. Don't give them ज्ञान, please. Don't give them ज्ञान. अभी ज्ञान का value नहीं है. वैसे भी बहुत available है social media पे. They don't need ज्ञान. You give them direction, they look for that. But don't be a parent. The transactional theory that we talk about in leadership sometimes, don't be their parent. Maybe start as a child, dominate them as a parent, but you need to treat them as an adult. That's what transactional theory talks about, and we need to do that. So they're not really the SOP types. They're not really the football boundary types. They might just go outside and come back. They're loyal to their work, but they're not really bound by boundaries, right? ठीक है, they are free, है ना? What we have to do is leverage their creativity to the best possible way. By not being a parent to them, but guiding them. They certainly need attention, they certainly need love, they need appreciation, they need your recognition. As a leader, they need that, right? And they certainly should have that. And they are not going anywhere after that. That's my take on Gen Z, whatever research I have done on Gen Z, the way I teach with these people, they are really creative people. But you need to leverage the synergy of creativity with your leadership skills as a spiritual leader. I think we'll call it a day. Thank you very much.